Today is November 1st. We are kicking off National Adoption Month, and some changes in Iowa law could help save the lives of babies. The Safe Haven Law was enacted back in 2002. It allowed parents to leave an infant at a hospital or a fire station up to 90 days after giving birth. A lot has changed in 2 decades. Here to tell us more about it is Bill Pierce, the co-director of Adoption Associates of Iowa. Bill, thank you so much for being here. Full disclosure, we should let people know that you and I have a relationship outside of TV, and that is that your agency did our home study when we were looking at adopting.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Safe Haven Law, because it has a far-reaching potential impact on adoption. So if people don't know what it is, how would you describe it to people?
It's a response to something that's fairly natural and should have been expected, and actually did happen a lot. And that was that young women who were going to have a baby, didn't want to have the baby, maybe pretty naive, maybe had mental health problems, maybe had all kinds of situations, but would come to a point where they would abandon the baby, perhaps out in the snow, perhaps in the woods, perhaps in a dumpster, in order not to have the baby, or maybe just in order not to have to deal with the system, which it's pretty scary for some people to have to do that. And Iowa and states all over the country adopted the Safe Haven Law, where such a person can take a baby to any first responder, fire station, police department, anything like that, any hospital or health facility, or directly to the Department of Human Services, and simply hand the baby over without identifying herself or leaving any information, and go on and proceed, and they adopt the baby without knowing who it is, kind of like the old baby abandoned set on the doorstep of the orphanage or anything like that. They didn't know who that was either. And the process goes right ahead, and she disappears. Within a certain time, she can come back before the deadline is over and change her mind. She can give them information or not. She can tell them health and care information, things about herself, or not. So anonymity is one of the great motivators behind women doing things like that. And that's gone on for quite a while. The Department of Human Services would end up with the child in a foster home, and then place the child in a adoptive home, and eventually the baby would be adopted. So it worked pretty well, but they start to run out of places to place the baby. And another thing that's changed recently is an emphasis on trying to place the baby as soon as possible, within hours if possible, with the person that they are going to be adopted by, so that bonding can occur from the first points of awareness or moments of awareness that the baby has. The new law, the changes in the law, add adoption agencies to the list of people or entities that can receive a safe havened baby. And all of the same rules apply, that they can ask the birth mother, and will ask the birth mother, for information about health or her name if she wants to give it, but she doesn't have to say a thing. In fact, she doesn't even have to bring the baby. She can send someone else with the baby. And the first thing that anyone does is take the baby to a health facility. First question is, what kind of health is the baby in? Are there medical needs that need to be taken care of? And then as soon as that is feasible, if the baby's healthy enough to be placed, then they go right to a foster home or an adoptive home. And in the case of us agencies, it would be a specially trained adoptive home, home study all ready to go, ready to start bonding as soon as possible.
There are a lot of misconceptions out there about adoption. Even though I'm a birth mother, I had a lot of misconceptions about what it would be like being on the other end of adoption. What do you want people to know about foster care?
Foster care is a little bit overburdened, and I can't remember when it wasn't. I don't think I can point the finger at it for being somebody's fault. But there are children of many ages, many circumstances, many special needs that might spend a lot of time in foster care. My personal first concern about foster care is that, permanent though it may be intended to be, the foster parents are not permanent. They are not, forever invulnerable people, and things can happen to them. They can wear out. They can have health problems. Things can happen. The foster home can come to an end. The child might have behavioral problems that someone can't stand for very long or long enough, and things could just break apart. So the child moves from one foster home to another, or they get up to 16, 17, 18 years old, and they still haven't been placed. You can't go back and relive those years and re-experience those years, so that child comes out with the kinds of parenting experiences that we wish they could all have. So the foster home system is doing its best, but it would work better if it were possible to put the child as directly as possible, as quickly as possible, into the home that they're going to be adopted by.
You need more people getting involved who are really vested in being forever families.
Exactly, yes. Once an adoption occurs, an actual legal adoption occurs, that child is there as though born there in every way, every legal way. And things can happen to any family, but in any family there would be steps forward or attempts to provide for the child just as they would if the child had been born there.
You've been doing this for a very, very long time. Before we have to wrap up the segment, since we are talking Adoption Month, what do you want people to know, or what do you think people don't get right?
Adoption is normal. It has happened as long as there have been people. Parents are as fragile as we all are. Something can happen to them, or they can, for some reason or other, leave. And there are lots of informal adoptions through the centuries, of course. So it is a normal thing. It is like having a baby born into your home. If you are interested in helping children who need extra help and come to you late, it would be just like a situation where somebody's parents died in your own family and you took that baby, or you took that young person, 5, 10 years old, on as your child and raised it. It's not as difficult as it seems, and yet at the same time it is sometimes more difficult than it seems. It just depends on the situation. Yes, and that's parenting. That's normal too.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you could say that that foster parenting is normal.
All right, Bill, we appreciate your time and the work that you do. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.